Test, test, test. Testing. Alright, let's get this microphone set up properly. Sweet. Alright. Hey everyone. Episode ever of Unscripted. My phone on hand. There is a live I am unsure to use, so hopefully we can broadcast. Let me just take a quick peek at it again. While I'm doing this though, I wanted to kind of just with the show. This is the first episode ever. This is the inaugural experiment by me to actually just new content in a different format. So ideas on how I can create new things that I've been wanting to play with and just understanding on YouTube, I guess. I don't know how else to word that. And it would be a good venue for me to kind of do something, I guess. I don't know. Rather than just the standard blog post and just kind of the regular, something a bit different for myself. This is the challenge. Get to the point, which is where the microphone closer to my face. Hello. How are you doing? I don't know why I'm talking like that. So, one of the things I was to see if we can some live content, and because I do a lot of tinkering, new ideas and stuff like that. Actually, without actually doing anything different. What does that even mean? You know what? Forget that. This is just me kind of trying an experiment, I guess. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm having an issue. I can watch it live here at the same time. If we have any issues with that, please let me know. Tweet me, shoot me a line or something like that. See what we can do. Yeah, getting started. So, let's talk about what we're doing today. So tonight we're doing this is something that I have been playing around with for the last few months. So if you're not familiar with it, it's used to be PhoneGap. PhoneGap was write code and then compile it out to multiple applications. More mobile applications. So would be, I write this app, I want to have a Windows app, okay? So that's really what ability to say, hey, I'm going to write once and just say, hey, I'm going to write all these different applications for me out of the same code base. Clearly there's something that evolved into fully open source Apache project. It's been a 2.0 and it covers a lot of different platforms. So things like Amazon Fire OS or Fox OS on the mobile. You have Windows Phone, you have Windows 8, Windows Phone, you have BlackBerry 10. There's a whole whack. Cool about the whole thing is that you really do a lot. I think you can just, write one bit of meat with it. So I thought that I was a script person, so why not? So let's just see. I want to just take one more peek here. How this is looking. It's right somewhere on here. But it's on here more. Hopefully one of you guys can figure it out. Oh, there you go. Say something. Let's try that. And Simon say, hello, chat. And we'll see if that did anything. Alright, so I wrote something. I'm going to go back to here. Cool. So yeah, anyway, going back to the whole point. The point was, we wanted to go off and make this, take my HTML5 JavaScript wanted to, a little bit, and actually apply it to something different. Apps. I'm doing a presentation on this in March. I'm extra familiar with it, so this isn't the same presentation, but rather this is me just kind of understanding that I fully understand. People have questions. I've actually poked at different areas of it. I want to get really familiar with that. And so, let's see. I'm trying to set a highlight here to see if that even does anything. So, I have a little note section on the right-hand side here, so we're going to kind of follow along with that. The thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of do a getting started. The pieces that I need, I'm going to walk through it again to show you guys what we can do with it. And I'm going to try something that I haven't done before, because it's script unscripted, just cheat and put everything. Let's see what we can do here. Let's start is zoom in so that people can see it. So hopefully you guys can see that short. One thing you don't want to do is we're doing this all from the command department. Since I'm a command line person at this point, the command line, and I really want to be platform agnostic, is the ability to use the same tool in an iOS machine a Mac OS machine or Windows. I'm using Windows 8. It's what I know, and it'd be a limiting factor in my code development. It's an open standard. If it's multiple platforms, if I'm right, I should be able to do something with that. I'm just gonna go back down to the chat. You guys, awesome to the max. Anyway, let's just increase this. Never mind. With getting started, which is installing the tool. So to install the things that I've installed so far, you need with that you're gonna need npm. My npm. I think I'll do a video on that at some point. One of the get to the points about how you can, because when you download Node.js, you do not. And after that, and then you're gonna want some sort of text editor. So let's just write that down. I want Git as well, but text editor. There's plenty of them out there, and there's plenty of other ones that will practice all HTML5, JavaScript written, and CSS, and it's all. There's also this is too intense. Those are the 4 things that we're gonna need. Outside of that, we're pretty much G to G. So let's start with that. So install Cordova. You want to install it global. So npm -g Cordova. So this is going to install the base tools. If you go to cordova.apache, I might load that up a little bit later, because the goal of what we're going to do today is we are going to just create, and then we're going to play with it. It's script underpinnings a lot of the time. I just kind of just, it's just one of those. And so I started playing with this last night. I didn't want to get too deep, but what I did find was that it was really easy. Recently done a whole setup with the development, which is awesome. I started playing with that. I found Visual Studio a little bit overbearing sometimes, personally. Studio background, that's right. That's where I live and breathe. I found it now at this point, I don't know, I found it a little overbearing. And Tone Gap and Apache are very different. They're very light in comparison. Ultimately, I think it's easy it was to actually get everything set up, and then once it's done installing, we should be good again, I guess. So I've already outside of that, there we go. So it's all now you can see it's installed a whole bunch of different stuff. So but now we have this. So we've now do Cordova, and you know what I'm gonna do? Hopefully this doesn't blow everything up on this. I'm gonna maximize this. Use our whole. Looks good. Now you have this. I do Cordova-8 and stuff like that. So Cordova is what we're going to use. I'm going to do a make directory here. We're going to call it script unscripted US01 because we're on level 01, and we're going to do cd US01. Now from here, create an app. So I think it's Cordova create, and I think you can .hello. Sweet. Oh, brackets. I'll show you what that did. So I already have another one here. Let's go back up. Source. SUS01. Sweet. Same sort of thing. So I'm going to select this folder. So I just kind of gave it the default naming convention. That XML. This is our new project. This is what. So you can see here, have a name. Hello, Cordova. I guess this is an example platform one, so a sample Apache Cordova application. So this is the content origin, the guts of it I kind of get, so I can keep tinkering with it, I suppose. Not our www directory. This is what I'm familiar with in terms of. Oh, I gotta move my mouse around here. This bigger. Let's just increase this size a little bit. View. Sorry about this. We're gonna change. 24. So on the left, I can't really increase the size all that much. Probably not. That'd be useful. Let me see if I have it on my front page. So, let's back up. Sorry about that. Close window. We're getting. This is why it's script unscripted, man. This is what we do. Okay, we got this. Let's go to bracket. So, ever config that XML. This is going to be the guts of what can, and then let's go to the www directory. This is a rough. Okay, so I go to Apache. Now this is starting to look familiar, hopefully, to a web developer or an HTML. This is pretty straightforward stuff. Like, in a header, body. You have class app, device ready. You know, has a to device ready, and has Cordova, which I assume that is being just plunked in there. And then you have our own one here. So if I click that open, how does this look? JavaScript. See, like initialize, bind events on device ready. So there are specific events in here, like initialize, bind events. So this is doing pretty normal. Yeah. See, if device is ready. So device ready event. That's normal. I'm not 100% familiar. And to be fair, I'm not the 100% super pro HTML5 or JavaScript on a device. I'm more of a web application person. So device ready is not a thing, but so it's not a default one. So these are specialized and different. That's very interesting. I wonder if there's a way to actually detect what's going on with music. Let's skip. Is whether or not there's a way to enable your, like, you know, JavaScript if there is a device. You know, if you're, one of my goals, and this is what I'm doing with the presentation, is to see stuff that I'm actually trying to work out a little bit before the presentation. I'm trying to the best way to do a web app and then take your existing web application code and then app, because there's obviously a link, right? You can always over, and I'm sure there's a way of doing it. 1,000 million people have done it with hybrid apps or whatever. What I'm more interested in is figuring out how to automate. I want to write a single code base that captures not only my mobile devices or my applications, but I also want to capture my web application as well. I don't want my web app to be running my code, clearly, because that's going to be a niche thing, right? There's going to be that I might not have access to, whatever. Now, default does not write out to web applications. That's not how it works. It's meant to be. It's phone gap. It's meant to be mobile devices. So that's just some of the stuff I'm kind of mulling over in my forward. Yeah. So okay. I will see about making this better. I'm getting some warnings from YouTube telling me that, hey, you know, you're kind of lagging on this. If you're getting some lag, please let me know. Hopefully you're not getting too much lag, but I apologize. I'll get better at this as time goes. So anyway, okay, so we're looking at that images. So we just have the logo. Yeah, that's no big deal. And we have a CSS file. So okay, this is all WebKit. Interesting. So a lot of this is normal. Event receipt, keyframes. This stuff isn't. There is some specific WebKit focused stuff. That's probably because they're assuming output, which is probably fair. I mean, doing that. One of the things, you know, although PhoneGap or Apache Cordova is platform agnostic to run it, to develop for the developing for are dependent on you're running it on. So if you, and one of the limitations, unfortunately, is if you would like an iOS, you need to be running it on a Mac. That's how it works. So, and I'm not running a Mac. I'm running a Windows-based PC. So, you know, I'm not going to be releasing any iOS soon, at least with PhoneGap. I know the Microsoft Visual Studio, the new Visual Studio 2015 and 2013, use a Windows machine to deploy and debug on an iOS device. There is clearly some advantages there with the newer stuff, but I want to keep it simple with a text editor and that, and see what I can do. And worst case, kind of handcuffed to getting hardware that is a Mac. Start using your Mac to do all your stuff to release. Okay, so kind of the code that we kind of got. Now there's this plugins directory which Apache Cordova actually runs. Apache Cordova want things like storage. I would install Cordova and then leverage that inside of my code. All that works. I'm more familiar with how it all builds. Forms. You can see it's empty. We're going to tackle that in a bit. Hooks. I have no idea what this is. Cordova Hooks. Let's read this. Represents special scripts which could be added by the application or even by your own build system to customize Cordova commands. Hooks by adding them to a special predefined folder /hooks or via configuration files. Blah 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 blah. Application hooks. Okay. The following hooks are the hook types are supported. Let's see here. Install. Oh wow, the before compile, emulate. These are a ton of them. Hooks directory. Hooks. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna have to do a lot of reading here. Okay, if you're writing hooks in JavaScript, you should use definition. Function module. So this is gonna get way too deep for now for what we want to do. So I'm just gonna close that. We're gonna go back to our terminal. Now in our terminal, now we want to actually start supporting. I want to run an application. Let's see here. Here is actually to demonstrate a Windows 8 app, ideally an Android application. Here I didn't actually get to tie it all up, so we'll see if it actually works. But I know I can do the Windows Phone one. This is really cool. So I do, and then you can do build, and then or add, and then you have to add your platform. Windows, it's Windows. For Windows, iOS, it's iOS. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with we'll do them one at a time. See what this does. Oh, I gotta to my directory. So let's do where am I? Dir sus01, and then we do lsk or dir. I should really just move over. Okay, cd com. There we go. Now we're ready to go. Okay, so let's do platform Windows. Start with. Okay, so it's doing something. Creating Windows projects. So it's added that. Let's see, Cordova Platforms. So there you go. This is actually interesting. I didn't see this before. Available platforms. Now it's gonna smart because what it's looking at is what I'm running out and doing a couple things here, like figuring out on locally. So you can see I got Amazon Fire OS, Android, BlackBerry 10. What browser? I guess I could write a application. I don't even know what that is. Maybe this is all of my problems. This is fascinating. Sorry, this is kind of what I a lot of the time. I just thought I'd broadcast it and then of it afterwards. But anyway, let's see. We have Firefox OS. We're about Windows 8 and Windows 7. Interesting. Okay, so let's just keep going with Windows. So I'm gonna go back here. Let's do Cordova build Windows. See what that does. Okay, so it's building. Like these commands are pretty normal. And while this stuff is building, oh, look at that, it's already. So if you look at this, I'm just going by really quickly using some. So if you see here up top, a Cordova phone.js project that's actually built. So it's using the guts of Visual Studio to make this happen. Underneath the covers, it's just using equivalents and stuff like that. So if I do that, I know I can do Cordova. Actually, you know, we're gonna have to do this in the view, which is what I just opened up over here. So CLS, dd.com, there we go, and then we're gonna do emulate Windows and see if this works just like it. It was really easy, and that's what I was shocked. I really expected to hit some sort of big snag or some big, or I don't know, something, but I hit nothing. I was just kind of weirded out by that. So let's go. Okay, starting application, activating application. Oh, wicked. Okay, you can't actually see this. Let's see if this actually brings up the screen. Did it work? You can actually see it. So this is actually an application that's running right now. So you can see this is my web application that we wrote. So let's just I've to do is tinker with the code. That's what I like. That's my fun part for this stream. So let's see what we can do here. This is all right. I need to. We are going to go to brackets. I'm going to open up something here. See if I can get this thing to work the way I need to. There we go. Come on. Hey. Device. Lots of exclamation marks because we're cool. Script. We will get rid of the exclamation. Let's just try this again. We're going to go back to the command line. We're going to do. Yes. Okay. We're going to go to the command line. We're going to do Cordova build. See if that. Did a thing. Okay, and we're going to do what we want to. Oh, yeah, here we go. We want to do window, or we want to do Cordova, Windows, or emulate Windows. Okay, what do we got? Show me something cool. Let's see what happens. Oh man, this is wicked. So I just edited an HTML page. And here you go. Script unscripted. Device is awesome. It's still in the same thing. Crazy. Cool. The fact that I can just I understand this. I just wrote a native application. That is insanity. So it has the Hello Cordova title up here, which I'm assuming that if I go back, config that XML. Let's do that. Scripted. Okay, cool. So save that as well. Let's actually try it for the phone. I did this again last, and we're gonna see if that actually worked. So we're gonna do platforms, and there we go. So just again, this project. Okay. Cool, man. This is. I mean, I did this again late last night while I was watching, and again, I'm just blown away. Like seriously, this is cool. I just get familiar with it and just turn it into an application. Okay, anyway, let's do Cordova build. Let's see. What was it? WP8. To enable parallel build, please add. Okay. So you can see, okay, it's creating my XBAP and everything, whatever. So I don't know what stuff means to me. Okay, this doesn't actually have a lot of meaning, but stuff it seems. So that's good. Let's just look what it actually did. I'm just curious. Now I did read the warnings, and it says like when you're here. Let's just refresh this. Like in the platform, yeah. So it's got this different setup. In here is the actual project. It says unless you really know what you're doing, do not edit this. I have a very specific setup. I am not going to start tinkering with that anytime soon. But you can see that this whole setup, and there's my XML file again. It's again a Cordova application. Just you're doing adding it and it's running something in house. That is really really cool. Really really cool. Okay, cool. Anyway, let's try running this now that I'm the code. Let's do that. Cordova emulate WP. This one took a little bit longer to run. Now I want to let me just kind of explain a couple things. I didn't do anything really. I am going to drag this over so you load. I have things that I did. Move this over. I'm going to load up the site while we're waiting. Apache, or is it Cordova.apache.api whatever, really quickly. I didn't do anything special. I had a video installed, and I'm clearly running an application, so this is not that's really that foreign, like the stuff that we're doing. Look at this. It's already running. Okay, so that's I think that's a splash. See, okay, so now it's loading. That was a little Apache. Oh, like this is. I'm sorry. This is really good. right? Like, how is this not cool? I haven't done anything other than edit an HTML, use a bit of my command line, which I know very well from using stuff like that. And if you're not friends with a terminal, you should become friends with one very soon. But now I have a Windows 8 application, HTML code, and has my own custom JavaScript written. So now let's take that where it could go. You could do a lot with that, right? You can write I mean, at the end of the day, in the best practices as well, they are not expecting you to have multiple applications because it adds a lot of loading time, a lot of stuff like that. It is expecting a application. So getting familiar with that idea, Angular or Ember.js. I'm likely on the Ember.js side of the fence because it's the one I know. For the last 4 months, it's the one I've been using. So that's really cool. I can write a JavaScript app and then use calls behind the scenes to go and get fetch data, and then I can save data. I can even write a repository layer like that. Now, if you're using things like local storage, like if your storage layer is device dependent, so that's not that insane. Like all you would do at that point is save to the browser thing, like save to browser storage, whether that's local storage or a SQL database, or a web SQL database, or anything like that. That's cool. Clearly, I'm just sitting here spitballing myself here. Sorry, spitballing myself. That's kinds of filthy. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, so looking at the documentation, this is what I was zoom in, make it easier for people to see. You can see here, these are the different applications. So this is why this is only on Mac. Now, when I looked up the platform guides, this is the latest version. Android doesn't talk Lollipop either, but we're gonna tinker with that, I think. Yeah, and see, Windows only works on Windows and Windows Phone. So, I mean, these are the Windows and iOS. iOS is the big money. Android is the good one, but they don't have native OS really. But I mean, for me, a Windows has a lot of value as the App Store moves forward and stuff like that, universal apps and things like that. I would like to see, is it going to stay in sync with universal apps and keep that, or is it going to do something different? I don't know. Fascinating. So, okay, so here we go. Icons and I'm curious about this. App icon with the icon element. If I want, okay, well, platform width. Set my own. I would love to have like my narcissistic problem. Let's actually try wicked awesome. That is wicked awesome. I just love that. Okay, so I can add my own icon, platform, which ones. For each platform, you can also define a pick icons set. So they give us a bunch of examples here. PI, XHD, I don't know what any of that means, but I'm assuming this is different screens. Wow, that is a lot of versions. Tinzen, I don't even know what it really is. Windows Phone 8, so there's a bunch of versions here. Nifty. So yeah, so that's actually figure them in the top level XML, not the one in platform. So example, okay, here we go. So you add a Android and then you do your splash here. Okay, Windows Phone 8, you do the same thing. Splash screen image. Very cool. Configuring splash screens in the CLI. This is the platform in the platform name. Okay. So this is the icon. Very cool. Let's see different variants. That is really neat. I like the idea that you can just write an application, configure what you need, and then you write your single application. Let's try the web browser piece. Here, yeah, I forgot my notes here. So we got a Windows 8 application. We got 8 application. Now it's what's this browser thing? Try that. I don't even know what that means. Do this. We're gonna go. Okay, that already deployed. Do Cordova. Platforms, add, I don't even really know, and I'll start emulating stuff. Cordova route, cool. I guess, I'm not sure. I really don't know what this is. This documentation, from what I know. Well, I'm still thinking. So the other piece to this, trying to think of what the next steps are. Now, the next episode, I'm gonna have a small single-page web application. That's the thing I'm gonna demo at Prarie Dev Con, ideally. A live web application, and what you need to do to suck it in. From the opposite spectrum, though, right? We're gonna start from a zero. I have no code, and I'm gonna build onto this. So I'm not sure where it comes. But this is because, I mean, you do need to consider native. So why does your browser application not have to be the same? Our considerations of application, if it's a small screen like a phone browser, then that's, it's going to a native app. But if you have a desktop computer, then you have a much larger screen, buttons, or a mobile work for your UI. That's just a consideration. Okay, so let's do Cordova emulate. I'm not sure what that will even do. Google Chrome cannot. I'm getting an error, so let's bring this up. Google Chrome cannot read and write to its data directories. Dev session. Okay. On Chrome, I guess. Okay, I got or something opening up over here on my other window. I don't know what this is. No, it's Google Chrome. An unsupported command line web security. Stability and security will suffer. Don't ask again. Okay. So it doesn't like, from what I'm gathering. Holy F. Open up the dev tools. Control Shift I. Show dev tools. Doesn't look like that's working. Okay. Dev tools. I'm gonna just try taking this URL and opening it up elsewhere. Let's just take it into where we were before. We were in IE. My lovely IE. Holy F. I expect this to be that easy. Way more complicated. Here, I'm gonna brief what it looks like. Okay, cool. So as we look at all, like, if you look at this, this is just loading up HTML. Did it scripts over the network? What else did it load up? Or so it built all that. So it's just doing all that, putting it all together. Actually, build my application using these Cordova plugins. That's what I want, and maybe that's how we'll close. As a side note, if anyone's what I'm looking at is yeah, so I have a bit of anyway, what was it, trying to figure out that best way, and Unscripted, I figured doing about an hour's worth of content, at least to start with, and then I'm going to see what I can do with the content that's produced. That's a new ideally in the next week or 2 weeks, you a compressed episode of here, because I mean, and I'll go over that at the end of the episode and then again for yours. So that is actually cool. That is very cool. Okay, so I now have a web application. I've got a Windows application, a Windows Phone application, all using the same. Pretty familiar. And the web application is what's kind of blowing my mind right now, because you look at that is something so many people are familiar with. Did not take probably changes is my plugins. Or if I'm going to use a Cordova specific, limited by Apache Cordova which isn't bad. It's all JavaScript anyway, but it's just one of those things where if I already have an application, how do I bring that over Cordova? You know, like you'd have to hope your architecture is good. There's going to be some rewrite in there. You know, is what it is. Specific sorting's going to work too well. Okay, so the last one I want to try is Android Studio. Didn't have no JVM installation found. Please install a 64-bit. I'm not going to do that while on stream, but when we're also going to have an Android app. We have this browser one. Like, this is weird to me. This is super weird. To have to be like, well, now that I got my mobile applications, I'm gonna have to go off and input this and migrate it over. I don't know why. Dude, old-timey guy. That's one of the voices I do. I do that one, and I also do raspy, gruff American guy. Always in, hey, how's it going? This is Dave. I don't know what I'm doing. My voice is this. And that. Anyway, this is really fascinating. Okay, so we can do next, or you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just do CLS to this, or blah. Okay, so this is what we're gonna have. Product that does all this basically. So, or we're gonna have all of these platforms supported, and we're gonna build this up one by one. So the next thing we'll do, I think, is we'll see if we can get a basic single-page application, different pieces. This is just as to what I do moving forward. Anyway, if this is as simple as it seems, really powerful. I mean, I can take a single source of code and just and things that I need. Now, a separate project would do. This is how I handle my client. This is building an application. So this isn't just the traditional web. You'd have a client and your server. Distinguish. So you have a team working on your client. This is the series of APIs you do, or whatever that base you call through JavaScript, application or not. It's some RESTful calls, and that would be it. I mean, there are some considerations there, right? Like there's the whole of whether you're connected to the internet or not. Networks are flaky. They also mention that in iOS world, you worry about that. If you don't, then your application rejected. So I mean, this series would be to get a basic application up and running and installed on at least one of the stores. I'll tinker around with it because there's some considerations there. Really, I just want to see if I can get something up there. Cool. Okay. So let's take a look. So where are we going to go from here? The thing I thought we were going to do is start building the application. I already kind of looked at some UI frameworks. So let's actually go to. We'll close this down. To embedding web views, plugin development, blah blah. Next steps is where I was this morning. So let's take best practices. So single page application is your friend. So Cordova application must ready event to fire before any plugins may be used. If your user clicks to go from one page to another, you will have to wait for device ready to fire again. You could do multiple browser. But they would be firing off a, and that's gonna chug. So you're better off doing an SP. You can do a very powerful SP. It's not crazy hard to learn either. If you're used to traditional an ASP.NET web forms, kind of or more of a web background. You know, I'm sending a request, I get a page back. Sending a request, every page is encapsulated into itself. A web forms model. It's not really web forms, but that's how I learned it, so I call it web forms. Anyway, seeing there's the examples they gave. Probably, like I said, I know Ember.js. I know that one. You can see here, jQuery Mobile even has one. So I'm going to take a look at this week, and we'll see what we come up with. Performance consideration. Touch. So this is one of the pieces that I actually want about pointers, and this. So let's just write our own next. So we want to look at an SPA. We want to look at pointer events, which are things to consider. They're a nice standard that are web safe, or at least they're going to be web safe. across a bunch of platforms, but it actually captures. So it's kind of a good way of doing things if you're going to kind of capture all of it, because a touch-based monitor on a desk, a very Windows thing, but it's becoming more and more common. Touch displays, you're touching them, but I could also use a mouse on that same thing. It shouldn't make that. They've thought this through and they've put a lot of effort into it. What else we got here? Okay, using a touch start or touch end will improvement. Interesting. Okay. Css transition versus DOM manipulation. Okay, using a hardware transition will be dramatically better than using JavaScript to create. See a list of resources at the end of this. Okay, that's fascinating. Okay, CSS transitions. Oh, network suck. Okay, this is the one else. Network sucks due to blah blah blah. The latency is worse than you probably think. A desktop app that slurps down and data every 30 seconds will be slower on a mobile device as well as a battery. Keep in mind that Cordova apps have multiple ways to persist data in local storage and the file system, for example. Cache that data, the amount of data you are sending back and forth. This is especially when your application is connected over a cellular network, which makes sense. So I mean, and that's one of the things. My current and definitely is it's a pig on data. I'd get to this point, so I never considered that. I'll just put it all together. And then you'll recognize and handle offline status. The ability to be able to handle an offline status in a clean way. To test it, there's a whole testing section. Okay, they're not perfect. In the exit jar records to see if the device is truly online or offline. At the end of the day, be sure to add support for network issues. In fact, the Apple Store. So that's what we got is network access. I also want to look at app settings, strings and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm a client, if I'm using a public API, that's one thing, but if I need to have a key or something like that installed, then that's a different consideration. So I want to know if that's actually safe or how you would go about doing it or whatever. So I'm gonna kind of figure out, I'll try to map this out. So yeah, this has been really, really very, very cool. Yeah, so create a new, okay, blah, blah, blah. This is an open source platform. So go to the platform guides. Let's just do a couple other things. Platform guides. And actually, that's the number one thing I'm going to have to look at too. We need to understand this. That means, let's actually click on it while we're at it. I'll go back to the platform guides. Okay, guys, okay. So installing the plugman, good, it's a Node.js thing. Create a Cordova platform. Okay, yeah, that's great. I want to name the directory where the plugin exists. Okay. Remove a plugin. Oh, okay, so I can actually say plugins uninstall. So plugman platform, and then you specify which one. So WP8 project, say the directory, plugin, name URL path, whichever one it is, plugins directory, plugins directory, www, the directory variable. Okay, so these are all is important. Okay, URL with starting. When do we get or plugin? That is a so if someone has a plugin written, so then they have a whole section on how to write a custom plugin. So if I had my own application and I had a very specific way own plugin, leverage that. Like, so that I can answer my own question. If I don't know anything like that, this would be what I would use. What else we got? Okay, other parameters. Plugin there's if I want. Yeah, variable, certain variables in okay. Requiring API keys or other custom user. Okay, so this is actually interesting. To specify certain variables at install time necessary for certain API keys or other custom user-defined parameters. Please see plugin specification for more information. That was so. Again, if I had a storage point to access a database of video games, right? So if I'm accessing a number of video games, then I could provide my parameter. Here's the API key that it's going to use. Windows Phone 8. So that way, Phone 8 people are going to use the same API key, something like that. Okay. Help command. blah, blah, blah. Plugin registry. Okay, so I can add a registry. Very interesting. Or plugins. Okay, the examples below show you how to add plugins as needed so that any Cordova API in your project still work after you upgrade version command. You need to select the target platform and reference the project directory. So like that's a very specific thing, right? Like you want to have this to know if he's dying, you're going to react accordingly. Camera, console, okay, contacts. Oh wow, there's a whole whack application, file in general, dialogues, orientation, like compass, accelerometer. Holy, I gotta really just kind of take a look at this. Vibration, splash screen, network information, media in general, in-app browser, globalization. Okay, interesting. Okay, if I'm doing this, go file one would be opening files, but why do you just do storage? Okay, a storage piece over. What's storage? APIs are available for Cordova application. HTML5, which is what I'm already familiar with. So that's the cheap. WebSQL is the newest. The following platforms support WebSQL: BlackBerry, iOS, 10zen. Okay. IndexedDB 10, Windows Phone 8, Windows 8. Okay, awesome. Separate options for SQL. So if you wanted to run an SQL database, I'd probably be better off using local storage. Because I mean, if you want to run handled it well, it's sort of so the file API allows you to local file system. Other Cordova plugins. Okay. If I'm caching image data and whatnot, I can actually just save compressed images using the file API and just kind of fetch them as needed. So it'd be a smart idea to write a Css client so that you're checking based on either your platform or what's available. Trivial, I mean, but it definitely helps you. You can design a client. You're building a client. You can build a client however you need to build it. Do what you gotta do. I mean, for me, I'd probably use the file API for any specific file. Use local storage. I mean, I would love to use one of these, but I mean, you'd have to write a plugin or or kind of a link of this, like saying called like relational DB. And you'd have to find that in that plugin, because I mean, at the end of the day, Windows 8, Windows 10, well, BlackBerry 10 supports both streams enough. 8, Windows 8, Android, iOS. I mean, if you wanted to release, and being Windows being the low ball on this one, unfortunately, so people are gonna use WebSQL. I mean, IndexedDB is the standard that people are using for the way. So you'd want to kind of map them appropriately. Interesting. Okay. So I think I'm gonna call it quits for the night. So a screenshot and then we're gonna share it. So we have what did I do with that? Let's just go here. We'll bring that up. I'm just gonna shrink it down a bit. Over here maybe. Fine. And we're gonna do the thing that we did, which is Cordova emulate Windows. Probably should have built Windows first, but maybe it does it. Maybe I'm lucky and it does it for me. Build, looks like it. Deploying, application, thinking, installing. Okay. Let's pop this over here. Like that. Oh, look how is this showing up? This is awesome, dude. Awesome. So let's expand. Phone emulator up. Boom. Ta-da. Okay, sweet. Actually, I'm just gonna do make this a little bit better. We're going to take a screenshot of this and I'm going to tweet it out at the end. So here's what we accomplished. We managed to get done. We managed to get a Windows 8 application. Here, let's just go. I'm going to write this all out as we. So we did set up Cordova. Windows 8 application, a Windows Phone 8 application. We created all in one code base. We made an edit. It deployed so we can kind of capture these kind of things. Amazing. We sort of stuff like single page applications. Kind of the catch. We know that we can use storage for different things. So I think that's the guts of it. So if we use HTML storage, then we can kind of some of the other questions we had were really around pointer events, rather touch versus click, so we can handle all that stuff too. Again, I was asking, and then we need to be able to handle network access, and we need to be able to handle I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down. App settings. So next time around, I'll tweet about this, and I'll kind of plan this out a little bit over the weekend and come back on some commentary. But what we'll probably end up doing is, whoops. Oh, there's my mouse. There we go. So is kind of trying to do this in chunks. So the single, and I'm going to consider probably out of scope for most of this. I'll do that on the side, and we'll use application. I'll do the browser app as we go. This isn't going to be. I'm just going to get something kind of going, that just to get something working that we can kind of build out and flesh out a little bit further. What we can do next time is kind of capture some of this piece and into our application and how that kind of ties into everything. And that'll kind of tie into walking through the, and then we'll look at stuff. We'll look at the kind of the specifics around, and then it'll be do this from the other perspective, where how would you brownfield application or an old legacy HTML5 and JavaScript code into something like Cordova, so you can also have your phone clients. So this is cool, and then we'll also make sure that we capture form factor on size, because I mean, you look at these different things, this is pretty insane. Device screens, and we have a big one versus a smallest one, so I want to make sure that when we write something like jQuery mobile code, we're actually I want either a proper application, but I want that I don't want to be constrained to mobile trick controls necessarily. So that's what we'll probably end up doing. I'll kind of break that. A lot of stuff we can do over the next 3 weeks on my on my broadcast, so hopefully this will actually work out. Yes, that kind of wraps it up. Let's take a quick snipping tools screen of this. I am quite proud of this little screenshot here. So let's do that. Let's do new. That was not for at all. Like that. I hope this works. Oh, I can't get the whole thing. This is what I'll do. I will cheat. It's called ingenuity or something. I don't know. It's for now. So what we'll do is shot and take a screenshot of my screen capture. Boom. Meta. Sweet. Okay, there we go. Let's zoom in on that. That is so cool, man. Like, what we did was cool tonight. If you tuned in for a little bit, I appreciate you joining me. I will admit that's also cool. I'm okay doing this, and I'm gonna warm this up and play this on a regular basis and share some of this stuff with people as we go. With that being said, much for watching and thanks for playing, and I will talk to you. So again, we're doing this every Thursday. We're just gonna kind of play with Cordova and see what we can do with it. So we'll see how it goes. So thanks again for playing.